Do you want to know whether AI can truly offer emotional support? Or how technology could help you navigate the challenges of parenthood as a new mum? Get ready to explore all things perinatal mental health and AI-driven therapy with Professor James Dimmock. Professionally Psyched is the podcast that brings you cutting-edge psychology research and real-world insights from our psych community of clinicians, researchers, and educators alike. We're here to explore how psychology shapes our everyday lives and impacts the world around us. Hi everyone, and welcome to Professionally Psyched. I'm Jessica Muller, PhD candidate in Public Health at James Cook University, and before we get started, we'd like to acknowledge the custodians of the land on which we record, and for me today that's the Bindal and Wulgurukaba peoples. And I pay my respects to elders past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and cultures from wherever you may be tuning in from across the country. We are very excited to be back, starting a brand new season of Professionally Psyched. Today we join our host, Lisa Jennings, as she chats with Professor James Dimmock, a leading health psychology researcher at James Cook University, about the power of social connection, the rise of AI in psychotherapy, and what it means for new parents. So grab your headphones and get ready to get professionally psyched about mental health in the digital age. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I recently just finished my Bachelor of Psychological Science honours, and today I'm talking to Professor James Dimmock. Hi, James. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me. I am Professor of Psychology at James Cook University, and I am an honorary research associate at the Kids Research Institute in Perth and an adjunct professor at the University of Western Australia. My research is focused on health psychology with a particular bent towards applied health psychology, a real passion for trying our best to make a difference in various communities in terms of helping people live healthier lives, both from a physical health perspective and mental health perspective.
So you've published over 150 papers, and you also have a lot of students that you supervise their current projects. So what's a study that you're currently working on that's really interesting to you?
I've got lots actually that I'm really lucky to be surrounded by some really good students and collaborators. And so I have lots of projects on the go. I'll give you an example of one that's really exciting. Working alongside a few collaborators, but especially Kayla Putter, who is a PhD student in the department. And together we're developing a web app platform called Bamboo, which is being designed to try to support new mothers, first-time mothers during pregnancy, help them with that transition into parenthood, which is often a challenging period, obviously, for many people, and can be a vulnerable period for mental health difficulties. And so the platform is designed to support these new mums who might lack informal support around them from family or friends otherwise. And so we're building a pairing system whereby volunteer mums from the community can give of their time to receive a bit of training around good forms of social support. They already, obviously, because they're mums, they already have the background of going through the perinatal period themselves. And together with the sort of the short training program that we offer through Bamboo, they are paired up with these new mums who then receive that informal support through an online medium. In a one-on-one system, which makes it different from sort of the mothers group environment, which some mums claim can be a bit difficult. Sometimes mums report feeling judged and ostracized in the larger group settings, and they prefer that more personalized support. And also the technology, leveraging that sort of delivery mechanism, means that the Bamboo program hopefully will be able to reach into areas of regional, rural, remote parts of Australia and give support to those mums who find it physically difficult to receive support through face-to-face forms. And the platform will have a pair matching algorithm built into it that will evolve through machine learning. So much like those sort of the dating sites, that people may have come across. The system will evolve based on relationship outcomes, data that the system obtains over the passage of time in order to find appropriate pairs, the best optimized pair matching function through machine learning, so that the new mums can have the best pair for them that's in the system. Hopefully this year we'll start with a pilot randomized controlled trial of that program in North Queensland before launching into a bigger randomized controlled trial after that.
Yeah, that sounds great. So instead of just having a mothers group of random mothers that don't have any training on how to support each other, you're matching up people based on their experiences and maybe personality, is that right? And then the person that's the support person has actually some training on how to help the new mother. Is that what the aim of the app is?
Yeah, to begin with, it is. So, yeah, we're going to start with the volunteer community mothers. We'll do a survey on entry, and the new mothers who are seeking the support will do a survey on entry, and we'll manually develop a pairing system to begin with. But over the passage of time, off the back of those survey answers, that is, as we get data on relationship quality and mental health outcomes and so forth from people participating in the program, and when that data is entered into the program system, that algorithm that we manually imposed into the system to begin with will evolve through machine learning automatically in order to optimize the pair matching for future pairs that come into the system. And so getting that algorithm and pair matching right is going to be the big mover in terms of outcomes from the program. Much more significant than the sort of the peripheral supplementary training or materials that we offer within the program.
Okay, great. So, what research led you to develop this app? So, why is targeting perinatal mental health and developing social support in that time period so important for women?
Yeah, so we came about this topic in a bit of a roundabout fashion. Actually, one of the senior lecturers now at JCU, Brian Law, he was a PhD student of mine back at the University of Western Australia, and we were discussing topics for him to pursue. And at the time, we were really interested in this theory called inoculation theory, which, without getting into too much detail, it's a theory that focuses on resistance to persuasion. And so what we wanted to do was we wanted to test principles of this theory in a population who might be at a life stage where they don't really know the magnitude of what might be coming next. And we might be trying to protect, for instance, the mental health of people from the tidal wave that's about to happen. And so we came up with a few life stages or circumstances where that might happen for people. One of them was the perinatal phases, especially with first-time mums. They don't know the magnitude of the sleep deprivation, the challenges that they face oftentimes. And so we started to get interested in the application of inoculation theory with that population at that time. But what we soon realized was that after talking to mums about their experiences in the perinatal period in its entirety and what they might value in terms of programming efforts to support them and so forth, was that they desired something more comprehensive and at a sort of a bigger scale, and certainly our orientation towards having sort of an academic imposition of sticking to particular theoretical frameworks like inoculation theory, that didn't seem the right fit for the population. And so we sort of divorced ourselves a little bit from sticking religiously to testing of theoretical principles and started exploring opportunities to give mums a support framework that they articulated to us.
Yeah, so obviously during the perinatal period, there's a high risk for developing mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety, and that's why looking into social support during this time is so important and making sure it's the right fit for the women.
That's right. Yeah, it's one of the biggest predictors of perinatal mental illness is social support, and you're right. Approximately 1 in 5 women suffer from perinatal mental illness, and during COVID, that statistic hovered around 1 in 4 women. So it's a really, really difficult stage for mothers and fathers, actually. Around 1 in 10 dads suffer from perinatal illness. And the thing about maternal mental health too is that it predicts development and health outcomes of the infant too. So, there's a real importance of trying to support mums at this time, not just for themselves, but for their infant, which is obviously a prime concern for them.
Okay, so your research not only impacts the mother, but their families and the future of the baby as well. I guess as a student of psychology, when you're doing your undergraduate studies, research is kind of a faraway thing for most of us to think about. So, how did you go from studying psychology to go into research specifically into health psychology and perinatal mental health? What was that pathway like for you?
A long pathway that took many sort of turns. I didn't really consider research as an option when I was an undergrad, and it was only when I was offered the opportunity to do honours that I felt like a research might be for me. I really enjoyed that year of honours, and then my PhD I still maintain to this day were the best years of my life. That freedom, that academic freedom I experienced, that is so different to that undergraduate experience of having to learn what other people told you to learn. I much preferred that PhD existence where you had 3.5 years of being the director of your own sort of learning journey, and you could pace yourself and focus on things that interested you. I really enjoyed those PhD years. My PhD was not in a field that is remotely related to what I'm in now, in truth. I just tended to focus in those days on things that interested me. But as I've got older, I've tended to focus more and more on being driven by things that I consider to be important to me and to the world. So moving away, if to put it in self-determination terms, moving away from just pure intrinsic motivation and moving more towards identified regulation, things that I consider to be important. And so, so I did my PhD on things associated with sport and sport marketing and sport psychology. And then I moved. I was lucky enough after my PhD to be offered a job at University of Western Australia, which was the place I did my PhD at. And so I moved a little bit into exercise psychology and trying to facilitate physical activity in various populations, sort of a public health angle with my psychology research. And then that moved into looking at things like weight management and dietary control, and as well as physical activity promotion. And then over the passage of time, I became interested in health topics beyond physical health and the psychology of trying to change people's physical health. I became interested in mental health and the person as a whole. And so really over the last 10 years, I would say, I've actually started to emphasize that work around mental health and what we might be able to do to support people's mental health. So it's been a very long journey, a really long journey that's taken me around many corners, and I'm happy with where it's sort of landed. And I don't regret the fact that there's been a lot of corners in some ways, because it's meant that I've met lots of interesting people. I've learned lots of different methodologies. I've been able to teach on lots of different topics, partly because I've done research on lots of different areas in exercise and health psychology, but it's not the sort of the route that would be advocated nowadays among junior researchers, I don't think, who are usually told to be quite focused and targeted from an early stage in their career and build a track record around a specific field and become known to be the sort of the guru of that field.
Yeah, but I guess research is always evolving, so it's always going to change even if you try to stick to one topic. And are you saying that maybe now you realize that mental health and physical health kind of work together, and that's why your
Yeah,
research
definitely.
has gone that way? Yeah.
Yeah, 100% that's true. There's lots of evidence to say that things like diet and exercise impact mental health profoundly. But the thing that we leverage in both our programs that are targeted towards physical health and mental health are social support related things. That's the big lever that we like to pull in our group. We see time and time again that social support has a really big influence on outcomes. And if we do a good job of tying people together, there's lots of lonely people out there, lots of people who struggle to make genuine connections. If we can offer some platforms for people to come together and feel a connection with others, then much of the work is done for us.
Yeah, wow, that's very interesting. What are some future areas of research you see that are going to be important?
Well, in my field, I think AI is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on, which is we know that social support can be provided electronically, but with chatbots and the extent to which we obtain a sense of support, genuine support, human connection, a sense of human connection through AI is yet to be properly established. There's been a recent study undertaken on a chatbot-driven psychotherapy, and the study was undertaken on the therapeutic alliance. And my assumption was that there would be no therapeutic alliance from these AI-driven psychotherapies, but the study indicated, with quite a decent number of participants, by the way, indicated that there was a reasonable therapeutic alliance established from people using this AI system of psychotherapy. There's going to be a lot more research in that space. I mean, I would call into question some of the findings of that particular piece, the measurement of therapeutic alliance, for example. It asks about feeling a connection with the therapist, but there's no doubt that some people might be ashamed to talk to a therapist, a person, about certain issues that are happening in their life, for worries that they might disclose something sensitive, or the information might get leaked or whatever. And so maybe there's benefit to the use of AI in those contexts. But yeah, I think it's a watch this space sort of scenario with the use of AI on supporting people and the therapeutic alliance and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so AI is definitely going to be a big part of the field of psychology in the future, as well as in research.
I think so, because like if you think of you're about to embark on your Master of Clinical Psychology, Lisa, you'll learn a bunch of different therapeutic modalities. Now AI will be able to run those modalities probably better than a person would, because it avoids human error. So from a technical standpoint, AI will be brilliant. The key is the therapeutic alliance, and and we know that therapeutic alliance is a big driver of the overall outcomes from therapy. Is how authentic is that experience of connection with the technology. And so that study with the big sample that showed that there's a decent therapeutic alliance with AI, with that sort of AI delivered psychotherapy, was quite surprising. We just need to do some more work in this space before we can reach a strong verdict, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think AI is not going anywhere, but we need to be careful with it. Okay, great. Thank you, James.
Thanks for listening to Professionally Psyched. This podcast wouldn't be possible without the ongoing support of our Psych community. If you'd like to show your support, or if you want us to cover anything on the pod, reach out via our emails, and don't forget you can listen to full episodes on Spotify.